Hello, my name is Bridget Manley, and I'm an instructional designer who helps small businesses create effective, engaging learning solutions. In this video, I'll show you how to use some of the advanced features in Microsoft PowerPoint 2020 to simulate an interactive e-learning course. These simulations are useful for when you're developing a concept for an interactive course because they allow you to develop a prototype that you can share with stakeholders, and they also allow you to think through the main interactions in your course before you actually develop it in an interactive e-authoring tool. So let's get started. For this tutorial, I'm using a video I created for my instructional design portfolio. It replicates the behavior of an interactive course designed to teach healthcare professionals how to avoid medical error. On this slide, we have a multiple choice question that tests the learner's ability to apply a concept taught previously in this course. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. In her eagerness to find a diagnosis, Chantel was quick to name what was causing the patient's symptoms and didn't seriously consider alternatives. Which of the 5 characteristics would have helped Chantel prevent this mistake? So, as you can see, the learner first chose an incorrect answer, and the button color turned transparent to indicate the answer was wrong. We also have some click sounds to give the learner some audio feedback. And of course, there's an arrow here that shows the learner moving the mouse. Now let's take a look at how these animations were created. So first, go to the Animations tab, and if it's not open already, select the Animation pane. This shows all the animations on the slide in descending order from first to last. If you click the arrows next to the seconds timeline, this will show you where the animations appear and where they end in relation to each other on the timeline. Over here, I have a copy of this slide with all the animations removed, so I can show you how these animations are built. There's also an audio file in here. This is the narration. The automation is set to play automatically when the slide begins. So we're going to start by making all of these buttons fade into the screen at the beginning of the slide. Let's start with the Preoccupation with Failure button. With the button selected, go up to the Animations list and click Fade. Now you'll notice that there is a mouse icon next to this animation. That means the animation will start when the learner clicks the mouse. Now we want to turn this into a video, so we want to change this. We want this to happen automatically. To do that, we need to set a trigger for this animation. For this trigger, we're going to choose With Previous. So as it stands now, this animation starts when the audio starts. If we chose After Previous, then this animation will start only after the animation ends, and we don't want that. So we'll go back to With Previous. Now let's assume we want all of these buttons to fade in at the same time, say 2 seconds after the slide starts. So with the animation selected, go up to the delay field and type 2.0, or 2 seconds. And you'll notice that the little square, which represents the duration of the animation, it moves over to the right. That's just showing you that it moves farther in the timeline. Okay, so now let's animate the Reluctance to Simplify button. Same thing. We'll go to Fade. Now I want this animation to occur with the previous one, with the Preoccupation with Failure button. So on the Start trigger, I'm going to choose With Previous. Let's do that for all the other buttons. So now all of our buttons will fade in at the same time, 2 seconds after the slide starts. Now let's animate the arrow. To make this arrow move, I'm going to use a motion path, which simply moves an object along a line, a predetermined line. So I am going to go up here to the Animations list. I'm going to click the Expand button. Let's go down to Motion Paths and pick Lines. Now automatically it's set on a motion path that moves the arrow off the slide, and of course we don't want that. So let's click and drag the object up so we can see it. You'll notice this motion path has 2 ends, a green arrow and a red arrow. The green arrow indicates where the motion path begins, the red arrow indicates where it stops. Okay, so let's start by setting the endpoint of the motion path. To do that, click on the red arrow, it turns into a red dot, and then click and drag it to the preoccupation with failure button. So now I want to move the arrow back down, and as you'll notice here, it moves the entire motion path. So just go ahead and reset that point there. Okay, so now you have a motion path. So I want the user's mouse to move after the narration ends. So I'm going to go up here to the start, and I'm going to click after previous. Finally, I want the preoccupation with failure button to respond in such a way to give the user feedback that their selection was wrong. To do that, I can use an emphasis animation. In this case, we'll use the transparency animation. But before we apply that, we must go over here to add animation. What this does is it, of course, adds another animation on top of one you've already assigned to this object. If you don't choose this button, if you don't choose add animation, and you try to apply a transparency, then the transparency will replace the fade in effect we've already set at the beginning of the slide. So with the button selected, let's go to add animation and transparency. Now you'll notice if we click on this object, we have two animations associated with it. Okay, so I want to adjust the transparency on this button. So to do that, I'll select the animation in the animation pane, click the down arrow, and go to Effect Options. And as you'll see, there's a box that appears. Under Settings, you can choose the amount of transparency. So I want to bump this up to 75%. I also want to connect a sound to this animation. I want it to sound like the user is actually clicking on this button. To do that, I can just click on the drop-down arrow next to Sound, and there's a whole list of different sounds you can use here. You can also upload your own. But for this particular button, I'm just going to use the click sound. And as you notice, every time you add or change an animation, PowerPoint will give you a preview of that. Okay, so finally I need to set the timing on this. I want the button animations to start immediately after the motion path, to give it the illusion that the button interacts directly after the user clicks on it. So I'll go up here to the start trigger, and I'll choose after previous. So now that I have all the animations set, I want to preview it to make sure the slide is going to respond in the way I expect it to. To do that, I'll go up here to the preview button. Let's see what it looks like. In her eagerness to find a diagnosis, Chantel was quick to name what was causing the patient's symptoms and didn't seriously consider alternatives. Which of the 5 characteristics would have helped Chantel prevent this mistake? Okay, looks good. That's exactly what I wanted to. So I hope that tutorial has been helpful for you. PowerPoint is an excellent tool for test driving activities you can use to make your online training more effective and engaging. So give it a try, and we'll see you next time.